Hello, everyone. I'm at home here. I really feel at home. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm not PowerPoint presentation guy, so you will have to look at me all the time. Wake up. This is about you guys, about students. Before I start, I have to tell you just a few lines why I started to do my research in academic freedoms. Just at the beginning of this year, I'm not sure if that was January or February, just before we started to talk about this session. I was employed by University of Zagreb before my new post. I'm working for Catholic University of Croatia now, but I remember back then that there was an email circulating warning us that the students from Hungary will not be able to enroll in Erasmus because that was a decision of EU Commission. Well, I thought, this can't be right. Leaving political reasons and all this political stuff just out of the arena for a moment. But what about equality, about equal chances? That was first thing. And the second thing, I remember back then when I was teaching in the United States in Chicago, that while I was professor at DePaul University, which is a big Catholic university in Chicago in Illinois, there was a huge protest at the University of Chicago about academic freedoms. Because in United States, professors at University of Chicago decided that there is too much of political correctness and that everything is hate speech. That, you can't do science anymore properly. So there was a big protest how far we should go in politeness. And this is really something you have to think about. Students, this is the core. So I decided to write an article about I went back all the way to the roots of academic freedoms, just leaving politics and everyday stuff aside, just to examine what academic freedom means for students, for you guys. So we'll talk. I'll read a little bit and we'll talk. Academic freedoms are easily defined as a scope of allowances which entitle the academic worker, which includes student, professor, or instructor, to teach, examine, analyze, and conclude the facts, and subsequently write opinions on their research and findings. It also includes the rights of association for scientific research, as well as university activities, which all should be in line with academic standards and academic honesty. In addition, at the same time, academic freedoms include specific amount of organizational autonomy of universities and other academic institutions and require free environment in order to perform their duties, and this is obviously something which should be provided by the state. In other words, academic freedoms are only possible in adequate environment of the free state, which respects honest academic work. The key word is honest. We live in deeply polarized society in which we all know that. There is no reason just not to talk about it or just pretend it doesn't exist, but that's how it is. We live in deeply polarized society in which liberal and conservative tendencies deeply penetrate every aspect of public life, and academia is not an exception. On one hand, there is a need for accurate and precise research and results which could be delivered in proper and clear way, And on the other hand, there are demands which may some cases jeopardize correct results of research. Of course, that the essence of every honest work in academia has to be humanity and desire for greater good of humankind. And if that was missing, all research will be invalid. We all know, quod ab initio vitiosum est, non tractu temporis convalescere. Also, with having in mind, and if elementary democratic principles are fulfilled, universities are operating with specific legal system. These institutions are also required to follow the rule of law and respect the public order of society. And this is the question. What academic freedom really means? Does it mean that we can do everything what we want? We live in times today where everybody is talking just about rights. I have right to do this, you have right to do that, I have, me. We live in egomaniac world. Just I. This is the word everybody uses the most. Me. I love myself. Really. But nobody is talking about responsibilities. So where are the limitations? Every right has its own limitations and restraints. So academic freedoms also have. Just a question. I like to teach like that, even on the conferences, to talk with audience. Would it be allowed that I have a course in the kingdom, let's say Belgium, in which I teach my students how to dismantle the monarchy, how to kill the king, to poison him? He's a good man. So how far this is a king question. How far my academic freedom can go? Just, I'll read you. So which standards are boundaries of academic freedoms? Just before I read you what NYU University wrote as academic freedom standard, which I found it quite well written, I just want to go a little bit to the notion what academic life is. But just before that, how we can reconcile from one side the right to do academic work which we all need. Students need it, professors need it, our communications have to be free, no doubt about it. And which is on one spectrum, and on another spectrum, you have academic work which can jeopardize public order or public morals, dismantling the state. Academic work can also be against constitutional order. How we can do this? I'm doing this with my hands juggling. It means balancing. Lawyers know what it means. Proportionality and balancing. How we deal with conflicting rights. There is in legal theory, I'm a legal theorist, interpretation of law. So there are ways how to settle conflicting rights. And real lawyer, good lawyer, is a lawyer who understands interpretation of law. Remember, guys, interpretation of law is a skill. It's a crème de la crème of all lawyering skills. How to understand the law, know how to know it. Everybody can learn law. It's for dummies. But understand interpretation, that's important. So are there any limitations of academic freedom? New York University, they contain pages with valuable definitions which cover almost everything which is basically need. So I found it interesting. Academic freedom is essential to the free search for truth and its free expression. Freedom in research is fundamental to the advancement of truth. Truth. Freedom in teaching is fundamental for the protection of the rights of the teacher in teaching and of the students in learning. Academic freedom imposes distinct obligations on the teacher, such as those mentioned hereinafter. Teachers are entitled to full freedom in research, in the publication of results, subject to the adequate performance of their other academic duties. But outside occupations and research for pecuniary gain, except in the case of sporadic and wholly unrelated engagements, should be based upon the understanding with the administration of the university. So it's important, you know, if you are teaching at Catholic or Protestant university, by being engaged, you have to follow at least basic doctrines or respect basic doctrines of the university you're teaching in. Teachers are entitled to freedom in the classroom in discussing their subject. Listen this. But they should not introduce into their teaching controversial matter that has no relation to their subject. Ooh. How often professors talk about issues outside of the scope of lectures? Oh, very rarely, I think. Just this is just to mention. I could read it for hours, but that would be boring then. So, just before the end, what Edmund Burke, I found it really interesting. Adam Smith and Edmund Burke, they discussed that in order to possess freedom, one has to be limited. Of course, all this has to be balanced in a way, excuse me, all this has to be balanced in a way that can't be used as an excuse to limit political or academic life for the purpose of daily politics. It is not solitary, unconnected, individual, selfish liberty as it's every man was to regulate the whole of his conduct by his own will. The liberty I mean is social freedom, is that state of things in which liberty is secured by the equality of restraint. Interesting, quality of restraint. A constitution of things in which the liberty of no one man and no body of man and no number of men can find means to trespass on the liberty of any person or any description of persons in society. This kind of liberty is indeed but another name for justice. This is justice, ascertained by wise laws and secured by well-constructed institutions. But the essential end of quote. But the essential question here is, can academic freedom and the quest for the truth can have limitation at all? The answer, if it exists, is very complex. Obviously, academic freedom are expressions that will live in a free and democratic state, and the initial answer is that in principle, academic freedoms, if contained basic honesty and accuracy, should not be limited in order to make quest for the truth possible. But at the same time, the key word is honesty and respect for the public order, which have those same freedoms and which has its foundation of existence. In other words, if academic freedoms cohabitate with political framework of the democratic state, academic freedoms do not have limitation except that one which do not allow endangering the coexistence and cohabitation within the society, which have its rules shaped through public order and public morals. I will finish here just with short remark on Ede's comment about values and qualities of Central and Eastern Europe. I liked it, what you said just before. I'm sure most of you know that European Court of Human Rights is using margin of appreciation doctrine. It's an old British doctrine actually used by the court for allowing specific characteristic of each state by acknowledging the culture, the history, I would say moral framework or of particular country. Most of you know that most of my work is religious freedoms, law and religion, interreligious relationships shaped by law. So by using margin of appreciation doctrine, the European Court of Human Rights actually recognized that each country has its own characteristics. So it's possible for the court to say in Lao Tzu case that the cross should be in every classroom in Italy and that in France the wall should be naked. How this court could reach two completely different decisions? By using margin of appreciation doctrine. So when I'm thinking about European law, I'm very much European and very much for European integration. But I would like to see Europe as a union of countries where specific elements, characteristics, qualities are respected and encouraged, actually. And I'm happy that CAA exists. I think we are on the right way to do things. And actually, I feel quite well here. And this is my end. Not my end, I'm still alive. But end of my presentation. Thank you.